Okay, I'm going to show you a few things about how to find things online. The first is how to find the Kimball High School website. If you didn't know how to do that, you could go to Google, type in Kimball High School. The very first link is the one you want. And now you want the summer assignment. The summer assignment is right here. See it? That's that link right there. That's the AP summer assignments. Although my class isn't an AP class, it is an honors class, and therefore it does have a summer assignment. And I know this says 2014, but I don't plan to make any changes to the assignment. I do think using Desmos might help you. I might include that in the future. I'm not sure if all the links still work on the hints page, but most of them do. And if you have any trouble, you can always send me an email. At any rate, you click on this assignment and it'll open up. And there's some explanation. It does say right here, graphs should be done on graph paper. Make sure that you do that. Organize your work into columns and work down, not across the paper. I'll explain that a little bit more. Make sure you follow those instructions. If you don't follow those instructions, things are not going to go as well for you. This assignment, by the way, is directly out of the textbook. It's the Chapter P review assignment, which starts on page 67 and goes through to page 69. On those pages, there are 139 problems. I don't cover all 139 problems in this assignment. I think some of them are redundant and not particularly helpful. But this is the entire summer assignment. So if you wanted to print this out and take it with you, you wouldn't have to have your textbook if you didn't need it. For example, by the way, here's where you can see a difference in the assignment. Mine goes 122 through 128 and then jumps up to 135. I didn't make you do 129 through 134 because I found those to be unnecessarily complex and not particularly helpful. So that's the assignment. What if you need help with stuff? That's a good question. If you'll go back to where the Kimball High School AP summer assignments are, underneath the summer assignment is the summer assignments hints. Now I suggest you go there because I'm going to have some general explanations here, and I tell you a little bit about getting a graphing calculator and about this free graphing program. Another one I would mention if I were making this document again would be www.desmos.com, and it's a very, very good free program. It's amazing. You can create your own account and it will save your graphs. They print nicely into a Microsoft Word document, not as nicely as some programs, but that one still works pretty well. But these have problem-specific hints. So problems 1 through 4, it says to use graph paper. You can put all 4 graphs on one grid, but you have to label each point. Label the axes. This is a very important thing to me. That means you label X and Y. And then you also use scales. Scales don't mean putting one number on there indicating what the scale is. It means numbering it as though it were like the book. In fact, I can tell you what page to look at in the book for that. So, and then make sure you read those because there are some links here, and that link right here will take you right to the link for 16 and 17. So if you click on that, it takes you right to the YouTube link, and it's going to talk to you about standard equations of circles because that's what those 2 questions are about. Students who follow those hints say that they didn't have any problems doing the summer assignment. Okay, and there's some hint specifics in there, and sometimes you have 2 choices that you can go look for those things. And yeah, that's the hints page. So now what if you want to look at my page, my web page, because this is an important source of information. Well, first of all, to find my web page, it's very easy to find me. You just go to Google and type in my name. My name is Dean Medic. And the very first link, yeah, that's my pictures right there. There I am on Half Dome. Anyway, if you click right there on that assignment, takes you right to the website. And then here we've got PreCalculus Summer Assignment and Hints page right there. You've also got the PreCalculus Textbook Support site. So if you click on that, it talks about the book. There's a picture of it somewhere. Where is the picture? Don't know where the picture is. There used to be a picture of it. I don't know what happened to it. Well, let's click on PreCalculus and see if it shows up somewhere. No, it doesn't. But this is the schedule for what we will be doing. This is this year's schedule, 2014-2015. And if you click here where it says click here for last week, you can actually go back through the entire year. And that's probably the way I'm going to be doing it the next year too. So anyway, the other nice thing to know about in here is from time to time I'll have students say that they didn't have any graph paper at home. That's a really lame excuse because you can find graph paper online. In fact, on my page, you see where it says shared documents right here. You can click on that and then go up here to where it says graph paper, and there's all this different kind of graph paper. And some of this graph paper, this is probably the only place you'll find it, like the polar paper. And then there's the graph paper I just selected. This one's just a generic sheet of graph paper. It has a place for you to put assignments and dates and stuff like that. It doesn't have a place for your name, but your name needs to go right up there. Okay, let's look at the other graph paper here. I like this graph paper better. That has the ability to put a bunch of small graphs on it. Unfortunately, they aren't enough detail for most of the graphs we're doing in class, and so I prefer this graph 2 paper. Yeah, nice big graph there. You can set a scale for it. You got a place for an in-out table. If you want to show your work, you can do that there. It's a really good setup. And it does have a place for the student's name, although I prefer it in this upper right corner so it's easier for me to find. If everybody puts it in the same place, it makes it really easy for the teacher. And you want to make it easy for the teacher. Okay. Okay, what I'd like to do now is show you what I'm expecting on assignments, so that you can get started in the right foot with the summer assignment. The first thing is you need to put a header in the upper right hand corner of the paper. That should look like this. First, you should always put your last name on your paper. If you want to put abbreviate your first name, you can, but make sure that you put your full last name on your paper. And I know for some of you that's a pain because you got a really long last name, but that's okay. If you really don't like doing this, go get a stamp made with your name on it. And you're going to put the date that the assignment is given to you. In this case, it would be the end of school. And the name of the class, which in this case is PreCalculus. Honors. And put down what period you're in. And then over here you're going to put a description of the assignment. Often that's section 1.1a, page whatever, and then colon, here's the problems. In this case it's just the summer assignment, so you're just going to write summer assignment. Which just so happens to be pages 67 through 69 in the book, and problems 1 through 139. Now it's not all of those, but if you put that down you wouldn't miss anything. So something like that. And now you're going to start doing the assignments. I'd prefer that you work down. You have to work in a pencil. I like mechanicals. That's up to you, whatever pencil you like. But you're going to try to save some paper, so we're going to put 2 columns on here, especially for the summer assignment, because most of them you can fit in 2 columns. So I'm going to skip to a problem that you actually have to show some work on. This would be problem number 99. It's actually fairly simple. It's although it's a cubic, it's an easy cubic to solve. So 99 says 3x cubed minus 26x squared plus 16x equals 0. And I notice it has a common factor, so I'm going to factor that out. We get 3x squared minus 26x plus 16. Looks like it's a complex binomial, one that starts with a 3x, which means this one has to be x. And I need factors of 16 that are going to multiply Looks like they're both negative because this is a positive and that's a negative. And that's actually an advantage. Now I just got to find two factors. Something that I multiply 3 times 4 would be 12. I don't think that's it. I think it's 8. 8 and 2. Let's see if that's what it is. 2x, 24x. Yes, that's it. And then I'll set h equal to 0. 3x minus 2 equals 0. X minus 8 equals 0. So my solutions are going to be 0, 3/2, and 8. Just like that. And then identifying the answer by a nice circle like that. And you see I've got plenty of room over here for another column. But I'm going to put the next problem, which is problem number 100, skip a line, and put the next problem down. Just like that. Now, if you happen to be doing a problem that has graphing in it, I prefer the work and the graph to be at the same place. So, in this case, let's look at one of the earlier problems. You're required to do, this by the way is graph paper I took right off of the website. On number 20, you're required to sketch a graph by hand. By the way, sketching a graph by hand, the book says by hand, but it's not really by hand. It's in detail. You can see this on page, I think page 15 is where they show this. You can see that those graphs are in detail, aren't they? And that's what they're expecting you to do, and that's what I'm expecting you to do. Nice and clearly identified the axes. We've got a regular scale here on the graph, and the points are labeled, and we might even label the equation if it's confusing because you might have more than one equation on it. But back to problem number 20. This question said y minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. And I think this one would be easiest to solve if I went ahead and added those two and put it on the other side, because that'll put it in slope-intercept form. And I know my slope is 2 and my y-intercept is 3. So I'm going to make myself a nice grid here and put a regular scale on it. I think every 3 makes sense. You need to put enough on here so that it makes it easy for whoever comes along and reads it, like me, to tell what's going on. And I know the y-intercept in this case is 3 and the slope is 2. So I'm getting a good idea what this looks like right now. Go all the way to the end of my grid since I drew down to there. That's how far my graph is going to go. If you need to use a ruler so it's nice and straight, then you need to do that. In this case I put so many points on it was easy to see it. And that's a nice graph right there. Okay, that's what we're looking for. The last thing I'd like to leave you with is make sure you read the hints page, because it has some very specific instructions when it comes to certain problems. So for example, here it says on number 49 through 58, although the instructions don't specify as to the form of the final equation, please write them in standard form, which looks like this: ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are integers, that's no fractions or decimals. You're also supposed to have a be a positive value. Okay, so you're using that in those instructions, and if you actually click on these links, it will show you how to do that. Here's a lesson in the Khan Academy that'll tell you exactly what you're supposed to do. Or you can go to this other website, which is giving you more than one just in case one doesn't work. There's another Khan Academy one that talks about that, so there's more than one there. Okay, frequently students will come back with one particular set of problems done incorrectly, and that is the inequalities. So the simplest one is number 117. I'm going to show you that one right now. Let me first show you what that looks like on the assignment. That's the hints page. I want the summer assignment. So problem number 117 right here, and it looks like a simple inequality, and if you solve that you end up with x is less than 9. The problem is that that won't really show you what I'm looking for in terms of what's known as interval notation. So here when we get to the inequalities, it says we will use the interval notation system, the one with parentheses and brackets. Now there's two choices here. One's the Purple Math, the other's the Regents Prep site. And here they're going to talk about interval notation. This means not including the end point. It's the open-ended. And this means includes or is closed. It includes the end point. So, for example, this inequality which says 2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 6, written in interval notation, looks like this. It's saying that x starts at 2 and includes the point 2, and then ends at 6, and it does not include the end point 6. Now when you graph this, it's also going to look like that also. Now you're accustomed to seeing it something like this, but we're going to put instead right at this end point that says includes 5, we're going to put a bracket here, and where it says does not include 1, we're going to put a parenthesis here. So I'm going to show you that right now on the paper. Okay, again, this is interval notation. So I've solved out number 117, but written in interval notation, x would start at -infinity and then end at 9. Now whenever an infinity is included, we don't include that as an endpoint. So that shows up as a parenthesis. So every time we see an infinity, this is the beginning of the interval, and this comma then shows the end of the interval. And according to this, would 9 be included? If we were graphing it, it would be an open circle in the old system. So an open circle shows up as a parenthesis, which means the 9 is not included. Now if we go to graph this, first I'm going to make the inequality line. You need enough points in here to where it makes sense. So none of this just putting 1 point or 2 points. At the very least 3. Ideally put at least 5. Now because 9 is kind of in the middle of this graph, I'm just going to put a 9 here. It makes sense to put a 10, 11, 7, and an 8. Now it would end at 9. This would be an open circle if I was drawing a circle, but it's an open parenthesis instead. That means that it ends right there. Now it goes on forever in this direction, so I'm going to make the arrowhead nice and bold, which means it goes on in this direction. Do not draw above the line, draw right on it. And that means that we want the number line to the left of 9, just like that. Nice parenthesis here, as opposed to a bracket. Okay, there's more to that on the website. So I'm looking forward to a good year. Let's start off with a good summer. One of the main reasons for the summer assignment is so that you don't lose the practice during the summer. So you might want to spread this out. Don't do it in just one interval. You're going to want to do it at the beginning, in the middle, and the end of the summer, so that going into the summer, going from the summer into the next year, you'll be well practiced and ready for what hits you. We should have a test on this after the first week, so be ready for it. Okay, and if there's any questions, send me an email, dmedek@tusd.net. That stands for Dean Medic at Tracy Unified School District. Okay, see you soon.